Good morning, folks. We could not ask for a more beautiful morning out here. We're going to try to get some stuff in the garden we've been wanting to do for the last few days. So stick around and we'll get her done. Come take a look out here. Got the coffee going on, which is the best part of the morning. So the garden, we're ready to get in there and get some dirt moving. I've got some onions to plant, and we're going to plant those onions on this outer row here because we don't have as much walking space here on the left side as we do the center rows. So the outer rows of the garden, we're going to plant the stuff that doesn't sprawl at all, like root vegetables and onions and maybe leafy greens and stuff like that. And then the center rows we're going to designate for the bigger stuff, of course. So today, what we want to get in is our two types of peas and our onions. Now for our onions, we have the drip line that goes down these rows in the middle, right underneath the last year's mulch. But with smaller crops like onions and such like that, we can go down both sides of that drip line. So we're not relegated to just one row of the crop. So this drip line, there's an emitter every 12 inches. So I want to go 12-inch centers down here with two rows, and that'll kind of square things off and make sure things water evenly. Now I could dig these rows by hand, but with my OCD, what it is, if they get closer in one spot or further apart, that's going to bug me. So we're going to go in the shop and we're going to make us a tool to dig these rows with. So let's go get that done. So we plan on using our wheel hoe for this process. So what I need to do first is come in here and remove our cultivator teeth, and then we're going to make an apparatus to put on here. So we dug out this piece that's left over from our little garden trailer build, if you remember. So we're going to use this piece that's got the rib on it here. It's already at an angle that we kind of need. It's not quite a 90. So we'll cut it out of this piece. We'll make our teeth about this long. It's about 7.5 inches is what we need. And then we'll do it so there's two of them at 12 inches. I'll draw it out real quick and then you'll be able to see what we're doing. So this is similar what this thing needs to resemble. We're not going down to too sharp of a point here because we want a little rigidity down here. But we're going to cut it all the way up the side here. Then we'll probably round these corners, because these will be sticking out to the sides. So I'm just going to get my little 4.5 inch cutout wheel and we'll cut this out. Got it all cut out and cleaned up, and then to add a little bit of rigidity, I took it over on the anvil on the horn end here, and we put a little cup in the spade part of these to give it a little bit more rigidity. So you see, anytime something's cupped like that, it's more rigid than it would be flat. So now all we have to do is drill holes to match our Planet Junior frame down here, and then we can bolt her on and get going. We've got our holes marked. We're just going to use 3/8 inch regular bolts. So we'll get this over on the drill press and we'll drill some holes just a hair bigger than 3/8. All right, we got our fixture bolted on. Let's go out and give it a try. I went down the row, pulled last year's mulch off the top, because when we started doing this, the mulch kept filling the hole back in. So once we get our onions planted, we'll pull that mulch back up onto the row. So we're going to get this started. All right, come out pretty good. Able to do it fairly straight. I didn't want to get too crazy and put a string out, but I think that'll do. So we've got 3 different varieties of onions to plant here. So I'm just going to split this row up into 3 sections. We'll just gauge it by the width of the post here. We'll get these onions in the ground. All right, we ended up with 3 sections per color of onion, because we had 9 sections because we hold back 1 on either end. We've got our white onions planted. We plant them about every 6 inches apart. We'll put this drip hose more in the middle and put some dirt on top of it so it doesn't move around. But we'll get these covered up with just a little bit of dirt, and then once we're all done, we'll rake this mulch back up on top. Those onions will grow right up through that mulch. And then once they poke through the ground a little bit, we'll get some of our new mulch out here and come in and put another layer of new stuff on the top. So we're going to continue down with our red and yellow onions. We'll get this all done. The wind's coming up. Had a perfect day yesterday when I was sitting in the truck all day. And now when I get a chance to garden, the wind's coming up. Got all of our yellows planted. See them all down in the row. We're going to get these covered up. We're just barely covering these, just covering the tops of them, maybe with a ½ inch of soil. That's all we need. Get some good dirt contact. Let me kind of tell you what I've been doing. You can see on this side I've got my onions 12 inches apart, and that's the way I start, and I go down both rows. And then I come back through and put one at 6 inches. That's because as you're going through these onions, some of them are nice big onions and you tend to grab those first. So if I go through and do half, at least I've got good onions all the way through, and then my 6-inch onions will be the smaller ones that may not be as good, but it'll give us a better overall pattern by doing that. Got all the onions planted. Now next thing we're going to do is we're going to come down here on the ends of all these rows. I want to uncover the end of all the drip hoses, and we're going to unkink those one at a time, flush the lines out, and then kink them back up. I also want to shorten them up. They need to go back to about that first post all the way across here, so they're not sticking out too far, so we can rototill in here a lot easier. Got all of them kinked except our one on our onions here. We've opened that one up. We're going to go turn our drip hoses on and get some water running. All right, we got the system on. It's going to take a little while because it's got to fill up this whole garden before it starts running out of here. There it goes. We're going to let that run for a minute and then we'll kink it off. We've got every one of our lines flushed out. This one's running. You can see the wet spots right there. Every 12 inches. This has only been running about 5 minutes. So we'll show you later how this looks. You'll see that it waters really well. I'm not going to put the mulch back on the row until I come out and see how it waters, because if I need to pull the drip line up and move it more one way or the other, I can do that, and I can see where the water's going. Like right here, you can see how the drip line takes a little turn. It's closer to the other side than the other. We'll pull that up, we'll get some of our little staples, and we'll make sure that our hose is centered so we get the best watering. Now, I had hoped to plant our peas today, but with this wind blowing, it really dries things out really quick. And I want those peas to stay in a nice moist environment so they germinate well. And I don't want it to crust over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this water run probably all day. And then it'll be nice and moist tomorrow. And the next day will probably be a good day to plant, because once I dig that soil up and put the peas in there, it's not going to crust over and keep the peas from coming up. Anybody that's ever planted peas or beans knows if the soil crusts over, let's show you. You see here in the middle where we got this hard crust, a bean or a pea will not come up through that. It'll just sit there in the ground and die. That's why you need a good loose soil. So I need to go out to the mailbox. I need to see if my parts came from DripWorks, because I need to switch out the emitters on the fruit trees, because I've had issues with those getting clogged. So we'll show you what's been going on with that. Oh, it's getting crazy windy out there. Jumped into the greenhouse real quick. We gave our new stuff here some water. It's been pretty warm the last couple days, so we refilled our trays. See if we got anything sprouting. Looking around. Oop, got some of our collard greens sprouting up. Just about every cup's got some sprouting. Pretty cool. First thing to come up. Thanks, Joe. Like we got something back there. What is that? That's broccoli coming up. One of them back there. But this will all start poking through here in a little bit. We're going to take the rest of our onions, put them in the root cellar, keep them from sprouting. We'll keep them as cold as we can. We might need some replacements out in the garden, so we'll get those put away. All right, they have in fact arrived. Got the package in the mail. DripWorks doesn't waste any time getting stuff shipped out. I'll tell you, we live halfway across the country from them. They're out in California, and we got them within 3 days. They were on our doorstep, so pretty cool. Let me show you what we're working with here. So these are the emitters that we've been using. And normal applications, these are great emitters because the top comes off here, and if this thing gets plugged, you just pull this out. There's like a threaded shaft that goes in there that lets the water through this outlet. So you pull this out, you can see there's like a little lock on it where you can unlock it and pull it out. And then you can clean these out. Problem is, my fruit trees are in those cages, and these are inside the cage down there on the ground, and I can't reach them. So it becomes problematic when these things get plugged. So contacted DripWorks, and they turned me on to this. This is called a plug resistant emitter. And I know it looks like an inline emitter, but it's not. It's only one way. You plug it into the hose and it just drips out of here. But these are not supposed to clog hardly at all. So we're going to give these a try. We're not doing that today though, because the wind out there is very crazy, frustrating. I can't say enough good stuff about DripWorks. I have a whole toolbox here full of my drip stuff that I can carry around with me whenever I need stuff. Super easy to use, super easy to repair. If get a hole in it or something like that, and it does happen, we'll show you some here in upcoming video. But I can't say enough good stuff about DripWorks. Their product is fantastic, very user friendly. Later on in the evening, you can see how the water has spread out and all connected up. Made the whole row moist. Looking good. So I think that's going to wrap it up for today, folks. Hope you enjoyed hanging out with me, because I enjoy hanging out with you. So nice to get out in the garden and get some stuff in the ground. But we'll have some more stuff. Like I said, we'll get out there and plant some more stuff. We got more shop projects we're doing, It's just non-stop around the homestead here this time of year. So we're also hauling corn like 2-3 days a week too, so we got to do this in between that. So, till next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. We'll see you on the next video.